Hi everyone. Thank you for joining us for August 2021's Stampin' Class by Mail. I'm Gina Wieselman of MySweetPaper.com, and I can't wait for you to stamp and assemble your cards using the Shaded Summer stamp set and coordinating Summer Shadows dies by Stampin' Up. I've teamed up with Brenda Cardinal, another Stampin' Up demonstrator, to offer these monthly classes by mail. This month, Brenda designed the cards and she'll show you how to put them together, and next month it's my turn. Make sure to watch to the end of this video for a sneak peek of next month's card designs and some bonus opportunities for signing up. Have fun making your cards, and here's Brenda.
Thanks, Gina. Hi everyone, I'm Brenda Cardinal of stampintulip.stampinup.net, and I'm excited to show you how to stamp and assemble your 3 card designs using the Shaded Summer stamp set and the coordinating Summer Shadows dies. The stamp set can be found in Stampin' Up's 2021-2022 annual catalog, and the dies are part of Stampin' Up's celebration promotion. You can earn the dies for free with a qualifying order during August and September. But don't wait too long to place your order. The dies are only available while supplies last. We're pairing the stamp set and dies with the Harvest Meadow Designer Series paper from the beautiful Harvest Meadow suite found in Stampin' Up's 2021 July to December mini catalog. We'll add a little texture to one of our cards using the white 1/4-inch crinkled seam binding ribbon, and we'll add a little bling to another one of our cards using the Mint Macaron Genial Gems. We'll also be using some elements that have been punched and die cut for you if you ordered a class kit from either Gina or me. These elements include things from the daisy, an everyday label punch, and the Summer Shadows dies. This class also features a couple coloring techniques using sponge daubers. The sponge daubers are included with the rest of your kit supplies. Before we get started, you want to gather your supply items, including the Bumblebee, Calypso Coral, Crumb Cake, and soft succulent ink pads, mini glue dots, mini Stampin' Dimensionals, Stampin' Seal, multi-purpose liquid glue, and either Stampin' Seal Plus or Tear and Tape adhesive. You'll also want a bone folder, an assortment of clear blocks, paper snips, and a Stamparatus if you have one. Please reach out to Gina or I if you need some supplies, would like to chat about becoming a Stampin' Up demonstrator, or host a Stampin' Up event. Let's get started with our first card design. Our first card is our birthday posy card. If you order a Stampin' Class by Mail kit from either Gina or me, all your parts and pieces, including those that have been die cut or punched, were shipped directly to your home. If not, here are the things you'll need to complete the cards as designed. Pause the video here to prep everything and then come back when you're ready. We'll start by stamping our large flower spray on our thick basic white piece using Crumb Cake ink. We're just going to randomly stamp this flower spray all over this piece of cardstock, filling it in so there's not a, not a ton of white space. And let's go this way. Okay, there we go. And next we'll stamp Happy Birthday on our label. That's been punched with the Everyday Label Punch. And we'll use Calypso Coral ink for our greeting. Stamp that right in the center. We'll set that aside. And then if you'd like, go ahead and clean that large flower spray and bring in your thick basic white card base, and we'll stamp a little section of this flower along this edge, and this is optional if you'd like to do that or not. And then we can also stamp our envelope with that flower spray. Just put a little something on that as well. Okay. And that's all of our stamping for right now. So now we'll color in our flowers, and to do that we're going to use a technique using sponge daubers. And this is a quick and simple technique to add color to your line art design, and it's not meant to be precise. It's meant to give you kind of that watercolor look Or in other words, we're going to color outside the lines, which is sometimes hard for some of us. And before we get started, I want to give you a few quick tips about using sponge daubers. First, if you order a class kit by mail from either Gina or me, these were included in your kit, but they're brand new. So they'll take a little while to get inky enough to get vibrant color, but that's okay because when you just go over the same spot in your line art design a couple times if you want a more intense color. And the other hint I'm going to give you is we always like to start with our lightest color first, and in this case that would be our Bumblebee ink. All right. Now the technique for working with sponge daubers is you want to ink up your dauber, and then before you go to your line art stamped image, you want to tap and scribble a little bit of the ink off. And the reason you do that, if I don't, especially that circular motion, notice how we get like really like sponge marks, which isn't all bad if you want polka dots, but we want a softer look. So let's try that again. So ink, rub off a little bit, and then go to our line art image that we stamped, and with a circular motion put some color down. And you want to repeat that process every time you go back to your stamp pad. Then we'll switch to our next lightest color, which is Soft Succulent. And here I'm going to add a color to my leaves. So again, ink, sponge dauber, rub some of it off, and then a circular motion, add some color to the leaves. Now notice that's much lighter. This has not been used as much, so the color is not coming out as intense on our stamped image. So I'll just go back and add a little color there. I have to admit, the first time I did this freaked me out a little bit. I was one of those kids who colored in the lines and worked very hard at it. But the nice soft look that we're getting here. Okay, that looks good to me. And now we'll come back with our Calypso Coral ink. Kind of get the feel for this when I'm using the Calypso Coral. I like to start my largest flower because it gives me a sense of how the sponge dauber is putting color down. These little flowers are kind of tricky. But again, remember, we're not trying to stay in the lines here. Okay, and remember, you can go over sections again if you want a little bit more intense color. And I just noticed I missed those leaves. So I'm going to bring back my Soft Succulent stamp pad. And put a little color on those leaves. Okay, there we go. So we'll set that aside for a minute and we'll start assembling our card. We'll bring in our card base and we'll fold that in half and then put a nice crease on it with our bone folder. And then using our Stampin' Seal, we'll bring in our Design a Series paper. Notice this is directional, so make sure when you apply it to your card, you have the words going the right direction. And we're going to snug that up close to the edge. I should say the left edge of our card base. And whenever possible, I like to cut my Designer Series paper a little longer so that I make sure that it's not short of my card. I like that more finished look. Then we'll add our narrow strips of Calypso Coral to our stamped basic white strip. And I'll apply adhesive along both long edges. And I went over a little bit there. Let me grab that adhesive so I don't accidentally stick parts of my card places I don't want. Okay, there we go. And let's see. All right, so let's line that up. And we just want a little of the Calypso Coral peeking out on either side of this pretty stamped and colored floral spray. Okay, and then we'll apply this to our card base. And we're just going to overlap that designer series paper just a little bit. All right, I'll bring in my paper snips and trim off the excess here. All right. So now let's make our label. That's our focal point of our card. So we'll need the label that we stamped, then we'll need 2 clips of coral labels. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna cut both these down so that we can make a border around our basic white label. So to do that, with one of our labels, we're gonna cut the long way from notch to notch on one side and the other. And after we get that cut the long way, we're going to cut it in half the other way. Okay, so we have those 2 pieces. For our second clip of coral label, we're going to cut off these little notches here, little rounded notches. And then we're going to cut this the long way. All right, so we have 4 pieces. So we'll take our basic white label and we'll put some adhesive on the 2 short ends, and then we'll add the short pieces of our clips of coral tag. And we want to make sure that we have the same borders on either side. And then we'll add some more adhesive along the long edge, and then we'll come back and add clips of coral on the 2 remaining sides of our label. And I like to do this technique whenever I feel like my greeting just needs to be a little bit more heft, it needs to be a little bigger, it needs to show up a little bit more. So there we go. And then we'll add that to our card front using mini Stampin' Dimensionals. I'm going to put 1 in each corner. And pull those papers off. And then we'll add it to our card front, wherever you think it looks nice. And then the final step is to add some bling to our card with the Mint Macaron Genial Gems. And in your kit, you might have gotten enough to put 2 large and 1 small, or 1 small and 2 large. You know, they all look great. My suggestion is to put them in the white space, however, because they'll show off just a little bit more if they're in the white space. All right. So there we go, our first card. Our next card is our Bumblebee Corner Tuck card. And here are the parts and pieces you'll need for this card. Again, let's start this card by doing our stamping, and we'll be using Bumblebee ink on our monochromatic card. Now in your kit, you have 2 squares of basic white thick cardstock, and one goes on the inside, the larger one. See how we have a little border here? And the smaller one goes on the outside. So our greeting will stamp on the smaller one. Make sure you grab the right one. And we're just going to tuck our greeting up here in the corner. All right. And then we'll stamp a little something on the inside of our card. So I'm going to turn my stamp upside down and just put a little stamped image in the corner there. And if you'd like, you can go ahead and stamp this smaller flower spray on your envelope. Let's put it right there. And then the last thing we need to stamp is our die cut flower. So this is a little harder to do with a cling stamp because you can't see exactly where to place it. I mean, you can get close, but if you want perfect placement, the best tool to use is a Stamparatus. So let me bring that in and show you that. So the Stamparatus has different kind of configurations that you use depending on if you're using a photopolymer stamp, one that you can see all the way through, or you're using a cling stamp that has a red rubber and foam. So because we're using this one, we don't have our little extra pad. So what we have is just our base and then a piece of our grid paper. I'm going to hold that grid paper in place with a magnet, and then I'm going to peel my stamp off of my block, and I'm just going to place it on my clear plate. And then another little trick, so it's easier to ink your stamp, we're going to put our stamp case underneath the clear plate so it's level. Then we'll take our Bumblebee ink and we'll ink up our stamp, and we'll close the plate and we'll stamp on our grid paper. Okay. In your kit, we included the relief image of our die cut shape. And so what we'll do is we'll put this relief image around our stamped image. We'll hold it in place with a magnet, and then we'll drop our die cut piece back in. We'll ink up our stamp again, and then we'll close the plate, put a little pressure on it, and there we go. Perfect placement. Now it looks like I maybe could have gotten it a little inkier. So the beauty with the Stamparatus is that I can stamp it a second time exactly in the same place I stamped it the first time. So now let's take a look at that. Oh yeah, I like that much better. So there we go. So let's start assembling our card, and we'll start by taking our Bumblebee card base, and we'll fold along that score line and use our bone folder to get a nice crease. And then with Stampin' Seal, we'll add our Harvest Meadow Designer Series paper. And we're gonna, with the flap closed, we're gonna add this to the front flap along the left edge, and so that we have the same border top, bottom, and left side. Okay. Next, we'll take our two triangles, our Bumblebee and the one that was cut with Designer Series paper, and we're going to put those together. And I chose to design the card with a triangle cut in Bumblebee versus white. You know, you're not going to see it, and the reason we're adding a layer behind the Designer Series paper is we want it to be nice and substantial, pardon me. But I didn't want the white to show through. I wanted to kind of just blend with the card base. So that's why I chose to use the Bumblebee cardstock. Next, we'll take the larger piece of basic white that we stamped with a small flower spray up in the corner. And we're going to add that to the inside of our card. And what we'll do is we'll center it so we have the same borders left and right. I think it has to go over just a little bit. And top and bottom. Okay, so this distance is the same and this distance is the same. And I don't think it's quite right. Let me try again here. Notice I didn't put a lot of pressure on my white cardstock until I was satisfied with how it was lining up. And once I'm satisfied with that, now I'll put pressure on it. So it makes it easier to reposition if I need to. Okay, so now we're going to take our mini Stampin' Dimensionals and we're going to put our little triangle assembly here onto our card base. And we're going to do that by putting one mini dimensional in each of the three corners. I guess they're not really corners, are they? They're points of our triangle. Okay, and we'll put this right up in that corner, aligning all the edges. Okay, and the reason we do that is so it's easier to tuck this piece in. Okay, we give it a little, bump it up just a little bit. And then we'll use Stampin' Dimensionals to add our die cut flowers onto the smaller piece of basic white cardstock. And however many dimensionals you think you want. Let me get a little carried away here. There we go. All right, we'll remove those papers. just at a little angle to kind of take up some of that white space. There we go. All right, now we're gonna add this to our card front. And I suggested that you either have tear and tape adhesive or Stampin' Seal Plus for this step, because this part is gonna take a little, I don't know, wear and tear, if you will, because that's kind of how you open your card. Stampin' Seal Plus is kind of a unique product. It is different than Stampin' Seal in that it's stickier or stronger, if you will, and it's designed for just this purpose or for, you know, 3D items, that kind of thing. So placement of Stampin' Seal is important here because we want to make sure that our card opens. So we want to put some along this edge. Okay, so this would be the left edge as we look at it when it's put together. So we'll add some here, and then I want to add just a little bit here along the flap. Not too much because I don't want to go beyond our top piece here. And then when you place this, you want to place this one so that we have equal borders showing around the top basic white piece. Okay, I think that's pretty good. And then we'll put some pressure on it. So there we go. And the last thing we need to do is add our ribbon. So now this ribbon is pretty thin, if you will. So if you have trouble tying a bow, you can certainly do a half knot, right? Whoops, let me get a little longer tail here. You can certainly do, tie this first half knot and then tie another one and snug it up really tight, and your bow will still lay nicely. I'm gonna give it a try without doing that. We'll see. Well, now I'm just struggling here. One more time. Yeah, there we go. All right. Just pull your tails back and forth till the bow is the size that you want. And then bring in your ribbon scissors and trim those up. All right. And there's our second card. Our last card is our Calypso Coral Posy card. Here are the parts and pieces you'll need for this card. So again, we'll begin by stamping, and most of our stamping is on the inside of our card. In your kit, you have 2 pieces of basic white cardstock that are 5 1/4 by 4 inch, so you just need to grab one. And we'll start by stamping our branch stamp with the Calypso Coral ink. Now when you stamp this, I notice if you tilt it just slightly to the right, you can kind of line those branches up so it looks like a vine, if you will. So let's try that. Okay, and if you'd like, you can add that same image to your envelope. Okay. And now we'll stamp our greeting. Whichever greeting you like. The stamp set has several greetings in it, and we'll do that using our Bumblebee ink. And I'm going to position this so it's centered left and right between the right cut edge of my cardstock and my branches. All right, so that's most of our stamping. And we're going to use our sponge daubers again for a highlighting technique. Notice behind my die cut flower, there's just this soft Bumblebee ink. So let's do that. So I bring back in my scratch paper. I'm going to follow the same procedure, ink up my dauber, take some off, circular motion, add some to my basic white cardstock. And however much you like, as big a circle as you like. Most of it's going to be covered up with our die cut flower, but just a little something extra. All right, there we go. So let's begin assembling. We'll take our Calypso Coral card base, fold it along the score line, give it a nice crease with our bone folder, and then using Stampin' Seal, we'll add our inside piece. And we'll center that up. Then we'll take our second piece of basic white cardstock and we'll add our designer series paper. So I like to start out by laying out my designer series paper without adding adhesive, so I know where all the parts and pieces are going to go. All right. The idea here is to create equal borders all the way around and in between our designer series paper. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start in this corner and I'm going to add some Stampin' Seal. And then I'm going to place it about where I want it to go. But I'm not going to put any pressure on it yet. I'm just going to place it lightly. And I'm going to continue to do that with all of the designer series paper. Okay, then I'm going to look at it and see if I like how everything's lining up, and I have borders about the same all the way around and it looks pretty good. So then I'll put some pressure on it. And once we have that all put together, we'll add this to the front of our card. All right, and we'll set that aside for a minute. And then we'll add our smudged basic white piece to our Bumblebee cardstock. And then we'll add this to our Calypso Coral piece of cardstock. Centering that all up. And we'll set that aside. And now we'll assemble our die cut flower and leaves. So we have all these parts and pieces that make up those elements, including the center of our flower. Now, when I was designing the card, I decided I really wanted the yellow to show through to give the center of my flower some dimension. And there was no circle die in the Summer Shadows dies. And I looked through my current punches, I had no circle. My layering circle dies didn't have a small enough circle. So I looked at my daisy punch and I saw a circle. So what I did was I took a strip of Bumblebee paper and I just cut out the center. And I'll just take my paper snips and trim off all the would-be petals here. And then I have a circle for my flower. And then to assemble the whole thing, we're going to use our multi-purpose liquid glue. So we'll start by adding a little glue around the center. And we'll put our circle of Bumblebee in the center. And then we'll add some more glue to the outline portion of our flower. You don't need much. And I probably should have mentioned to you, you probably want to kind of situate this before you put your glue on so you know where the outline meets the more filled in design, die cut design, if you will. There's some things you can look for though. Like this little notch right here, and this petal lines up with that. And that's kind of how I look for lining everything up. And this more detailed die cut lines up exactly with the less detailed die cut, if you will. Okay, so we have that done. And now we want to glue the detail part of the leaf onto the more solid die cut leaf. And again, this lines up exactly. I like using the multi-purpose liquid glue because you can kind of slide things around a little bit. If glue is too messy for you, you can also invest in our adhesive back sheets. And so you put that on your cardstock before you die cut it, and then you essentially turn your die cut into a sticker. So that's kind of fun as well. All right, so we're almost there. So let's add our squares onto our card front using dimensionals. And I'm gonna probably use like 5, 1 in each corner and 1 in the middle. Now when you place this, what you wanna do is you wanna have like the same border along the left and right side, and then this center line here between our designer series paper, you want that to bisect the center of your square here. So same borders here and here, and then have this open space on your basic white piece land in the center of your Calypso coral piece. All right. Then we're going to bring in our mini glue dots, and we're going to add our leaf to our card. I'm going to put 1 mini glue dot on each of our petals. We're going to place the leaf so it's on the inside of our Calypso coral square of cardstock. And then to add our flower, we're going to go back to our dimensionals. And I think I'll probably put 3 on this one. Okay, and there we go. I'd like to show you a few more card ideas made with the Shaded Summer stamp set and Summer Shadows dies. This first one features 2 other patterns from the Harvest Meadow Designer Series paper. To create a great focal point for our flower spray, I pulled out my layering circles dies and cut a couple circles and layered them up. And then to pull it all together, I used some Bumblebee grosgrain ribbon. The next card is actually pretty simple. It's a larger flower spray stamped with our Tuxedo Black Memento ink and then die cut. And then I colored it with my Stampin' Blends. And then the other kind of interesting feature on this card is this embossed piece that was embossed with our brand new Thanks and Hello embossing folder. And it's kind of a fun embossing folder. It has the word thanks in different font styles and then also in different languages. And the unique thing about this one and the Hello embossing folder is that they work with our mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. And here's our next card. I pulled out a couple tools that I don't use very often, and one is the Detailed Trio Punch. This is a punch that punches 3 different designs out, including the corner. It's a corner rounder, and I thought that would be kind of fun on this card. I embossed this top piece with our Tasteful Textile 3D embossing folder. Our Treasure Tags Pick-a-Punch rounded that corner for me. And then I pulled out my stitched rectangles dies to cut out this layer. And then I accented it all with some fun ribbon. I repeated this idea for the inside of my card as well. Anybody who knows me knows I love the color combination of black and white and any accent color, so I couldn't resist giving that a try with this stamp set and set of dies. I created my own Designer Series paper here using one of the stamps from the Shaded Summer stamp set. And then this paper actually is called the Beautifully Penned Designer Series paper, and that is something that can be earned free during Celebration August and September of 2021. One of the really fun things about being a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator is a community of stampers that you get to meet and share ideas with. And I do participate in monthly swaps, and I wanted to share some of the swaps I got using both the Shaded Summer stamp set and Summer Shadows dies. This one was created by Shelley Gruber, and I just think it's absolutely beautiful. And Shelley used more of that hand-penned designer series paper that you can earn for free for her card. This next card was created by Terry Gaines. Again, very pretty. Terry used the tailor-made tags to create a tag for her pretty flower to go on. And then she used kind of a fun technique. She embossed this layer of cardstock with one of our embossing folders, and then she inked up a clear block with ink. So she just took her block and stamped it right in the ink pad, and then she stamped it lightly on top of that embossed piece, and so the raised flowers picked up the ink and the rest of it didn't. So I thought that's really pretty and a fun technique. This next card actually is from the Harvest Meadow suite. That's the suite that we pulled our paper from for this class, and I thought it would be fun to show you some samples using that suite as well. So this one was done by Desiree Crum, and Desiree used some of our rose gold and gold brushed specialty paper, and I thought it added a really nice accent, especially with our little gold Bumblebee Trinket. Our next card is by Sherry Breitinger, and I thought it was really pretty. It's monochromatic, but just so elegant. Again, another pattern from our designer series paper, Harvest Meadow. She used a new embossing folder on there called Timeworn Type. And then for her wildflower die cuts, she used the new gold vellum shimmer. And then she also used our new Dazzling specialty paper that can be earned for free during celebration as well. And I just thought it was pretty. The last card here is by Carol Norquist. Carol also used the bedazzling paper on her die cut wildflowers. And then she also added cork to hers to create a great backdrop for her flowers. So I hope these ideas inspired you to make even more beautiful cards using your supplies from this class. Thanks again for participating in our Stampin' Class by Mail, and now here's Gina.
Thanks for demonstrating how to make those beautiful cards, Brenda. Make sure to follow the link in the email that shared this video with you to access the special Pinterest board that Brenda and I curated to show you even more ways to use your supplies. Next month, it's my turn to design and share the cards with you, and I'm so excited to share a sneak peek of our 3 card designs using the Penguin Place bundle of Stampin' Up products from the July to December 2021 mini catalog. We have 2 fun fold designs, and we'll be using the bundle items, Penguin Place stamp set, and Penguin Builder punch. The punched items will be included with your class kit, and we'll also be using 2 Sale-a-bration items, the Penguin Playmates Designer Series paper and Dazzling specialty paper. You can get both of these items for free with a qualifying Stampin' Up order in August and September, but make sure to order fast because they're only available while supplies last. We'll be using a few fun embellishments to add some bling to our cards, including the Subtle Shimmer Sequins, blue adhesive backed gems, and 2021-2023 in color jewels. To make the cards, you'll need the Penguin Place stamp set and some supply items as well. These include Misty Moonlight ink pad, Fresh Freesia ink pad, Calypso Coral ink pad, Memento Tuxedo Black ink pad, Stampin' Seal adhesive, multi-purpose liquid glue, Stampin' Dimensionals, mini Stampin' Dimensionals, tear and tape adhesive, paper snips, bone folder, and assorted clear blocks. The registration deadline to guarantee your kit supplies is September 5th, 2021. We also have a bonus deadline of August 27th, and if you sign up by that date, you'll receive 2 completed cards with envelopes shipped along with your September kit. We also have a referral bonus if you find new friends to take the Stampin' Class by Mail. Just check the emails from Brenda or me for more information. If you're not already on our email list, please contact either one of us to get all the information you need about this and other fun stamping opportunities. Like I mentioned earlier, remember that it's Stampin' Up's celebration period from now through the end of September. For every $50 or $100 you spend before shipping, handling, and tax, you get to select an item from the celebration catalog. So now is a great time to get new supplies, as well as stocking up on things like adhesive, envelopes, and prepaid Paper Pumpkin subscriptions. There are also bonuses for hosting a stamping event or joining the Stampin' Up team during the celebration period. Be sure to check it out and get in touch with Brenda or me if you have any questions or want more information. As always, we'd love your feedback about the Stampin' Class by mail, and until next month, happy stamping!